I received a question from an athlete today that I wanted to share the answer with you all because I think it's important in not only powerlifting but strength sports and in life in general. It's important to understand how our body works and how we can properly fuel it so that it can continue to do the things we call on it to do each day. So I got this question that said, Amber, I see people often drinking whey or protein, after workouts. What makes you consume it during? And the reason that we have this window of opportunity for intaking calories in the form of protein and carbs primarily is to prevent any sort of muscle atrophy. Now, that doesn't make consuming protein after your workout a poor choice. It's actually a great choice. If you don't want to consume anything during your workout, your stomach doesn't agree with it, after is just fine. What it comes down to is how much time you're spending in a calorie deficit. And I'm going to call this a gap, and I'm going to frequently refer to closing the gap in this video because that is the whole goal in reversing muscle atrophy while we're in a deficit, is to close the gaps where we are in a high energy scarcity and turning it into a moment where we're in energy availability, or we're closing that scarcity, right? We're bringing that negative closer to zero on a linear scale. So you'll see with my graphic here, muscle atrophy. In order for muscles to atrophy, our protein degradation or breakdown must be greater than our protein synthesis. So what signals protein breakdown? Energy scarcity. When we don't have the molecules or the substrates available, we will start to break down the muscles or the energy inside of our body in order to acquire that energy. So what you need to know is that protein degradation happens mainly when we are in a substrate or molecule scarcity. When we're talking about proteins, this is amino acids. Protein synthesis happens when we have high energy or substrate availability. When amino acids are in abundance, our body signals to utilize and build something out of those. Our body has the ability to use those resources to build a structure. So when I'm in a calorie deficit overall, intending to lose weight, my calories out is going to be greater than my calories in, which means I'm going to have a bit more of a scarcity than an abundance in my body. Do we remember what that signals? That's going to signal protein degradation. So the reason that I consume whey during my workout is to close that gap of scarcity. I'm trying to alert my body that the scarcity isn't as bad as it thinks it is, so that I can continue to maintain muscle mass while I'm in this deficit. The reason for maintaining muscle mass while I'm in this deficit is so that I can maintain energy burn over time. The more weight we lose, typically the less energy we're going to burn at baseline. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping my energy expenditure, my basal metabolic rate, decently high with the amount of muscle mass on my body. But muscle mass moves weight. I'm looking to be the strongest I want to be, and to do that, I need to maintain muscle mass. So I consume whey during my workouts in order to minimize that scarcity and signal to my body that the amino acids aren't as scarce as it might think they are, and to then further minimize protein degradation in my body and maximize protein synthesis so that that gap is much smaller and my body doesn't recognize it as degradation, and I don't start to use my muscle as energy. I continue to use that energy that's available. And that is also why I consume a bit of honey or a sugar of some sort with my whey is so that I can also provide my body that energy to continue moving. Now that is also twofold. I'll be completely honest with you all. I tend to sandbag my accessories when I'm in a deficit. I am really good at showing up and focusing for the main lifts because they excite me. However, accessories can feel pretty monotonous to me. And sometimes when I'm in a deficit, that means that my brain is at a disadvantage and so is my body. So I'm taking and allotting some of my calories and putting them into my workout so that I can be motivated and have the energy for those accessories. So I'm not sandbagging them and they are supporting my goal in getting stronger, and I'm not just getting them done to do them. There's actually progression, there's overload, and that is what's going to carry over into my big three. And I think that's what a lot of people miss in training is, sure, the squat, bench, and deadlift for powerlifting is important, but being able to push yourself in your accessories is just as important as well in muscle gain, but also in strength. So, moral of the story, consume your protein and your carbs during your workout, consume them after, reliant on personal preference and what your overarching goal is, what the rest of your training regimen looks like, what the rest of your nutrition looks like. Doesn't mean it's for everyone, but for the most part, everyone should at least be consuming some sort of protein and carb after their workout, at the very, very least.